Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
I mean, your votes, the panels. Oh, there we go. Good evening. Welcome to the Millbrae City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
All council members are present.
Thank you. If you will all please rise and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have several ceremonial presentations today, or actually one, but a lot of different people joining us. This month is the month of July, National Parks and Recreation Month. So I know we have two representatives from our Park and Rec Board, Mr. Del Negro and Mr. Lynch. Would you care to join me at the podium? Let's see, we got two here. Yeah. How come they got George Lynch twice here? He's doubling up? There you go. Nice to see you both. Proclamation, City of Millbrae. Parks and, and we have our directors. Come on. McKinsey. Anybody else want to come on? Come on. Thank you. Our new director, nice to see you. Parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Millbrae. And our parks and recreations are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our community, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And park and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the preservation, backtrack. Whereas park and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who have mental or physical disabilities, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all residents. And whereas park and recreation programs increase a community economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, and attractive and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And park and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And I got a couple more paragraphs here. Parks and national recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetation buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. A little wildlife around here, huh? And the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation Month, and Millbrae recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, hereby proclaim the month of July 2018 as Park and Recreation Month. And I invite you all to please let us know what's happening within our Park and Recreation Commission and Park and Recreation Office.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Gina.
Well, you wanna? Why don't we get the whole council down here? This is a big thing. Come on.
Yeah, perfect. Great. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
I like to float.
All right, opportunity to address the council about our year and what's going on with the Parks and Rec. I have a couple statements that are taken really from our handbook of the commission and modified a bit to try and get some meaning that I think we connect in our community. Recreation is a positive experience that improves an individual's self-image. The positive self-image immediately frees us from the constraints of limited facilities, specific activities, or specialized surroundings usually attributed to specific models of recreation. It connects us to the core purpose of recreation, which is to feel good about yourself, a peak experience in self-satisfaction. Recreation not be considered a separate part of life. Recreation is inseparable from our free time, our working lives, our environment, and our community. Recreation is the bridge that joins work, rest, and leisure time with that of ourselves and our society. A park not be a special kind of place, dictated by a model or a mold, but rather each place can be a special kind of park, embraced by our community members and made special through the process of recreation. We as a public service strive to enable special relationships between our citizens and our park spaces, spaces in which we can park ourselves within our recreation activities. Parks make life better. So the statement for this year, we have maintained the same prioritization. Our priority number one is and will be until we complete it, is our community center rebuild. This disaster that we had a couple years ago, and hoping to get a initiative through to get funding for and the community behind building the recreation center as planned by our master plan, component one, which is the recreation center. Eventually, that also includes the potential for helping to build the rest of the park and a gymnasium. But for now, the community center is our goal and our priority, and we hope to get that initiated quickly so we can begin breaking ground in 2019. We are excited for the opportunity, and we hope that our community embraces it and comes forward in full support, as well as that of council. I appreciate all the work you guys have been doing to help us get focused and on task with getting that community center designed and built. The second piece that we've had as a priority for the commission is the Spur Trail connection. This is something that we as a city went out for a grant. Our staff went strong to the BPAC commission and actually asked for money to help connect our Spur Trail 1 to Spur Trail 2 and connect the Spur Trail to the BART station and the Caltrain station, so that we can have a unified trail system that leads you all the way from down at the transit center to the top of Richmond Drive, where it meets to the top of the school, Taylor. The second piece is the revitalization of Mills Estate Park. That is our third prioritization in the future. This is something we still keep track of. City of Millbrae definitely still has a need for increased field spaces and a dramatic need for field space that is city-controlled and city-operated in addition to what we have in partnership with the school. This remains a focused priority of our commission for the last few years. It is still on our list for when the opportunity arises. The other addition is the community garden is still on our list of priorities. We would love to see a community garden space carved out somewhere within our system of the parks and be able to offer that particularly to community members who do not have backyards, front yards, spaces where they can grow things. Another issue that's come up more recently is our involvement in bike and pedestrian safety routes and the administration of helping to design our city planning towards better and safer bike and pedestrian routes. We appreciate the fact that the city's worked with Caltrains to get safer crossings across El Camino Real. That is a benefit. Our community is getting used to those stop signs and stop lights that are a little different, but it is nice to see that it is slowing traffic down. I stop at least 2 of them every day on the way home from work watching pedestrians cross safely. In addition, we are interested in the multimodal pedestrian and bike access. These are rising up is the use of rental bikes like Lime Bike and the Ford Bike. A lot of these pickup drop-off bike and scooter systems now that are becoming popular are an important part of the peninsula and the lifestyles of people in the peninsula to get across small distances without using cars. We definitely would like to see some policy setting in the next year on how to get that implemented and well managed in Millbrae. I think it's an important part of our bike and pedestrian safety. And of course, our biggest priority is facilities and park access for all of our members of our community, regardless of age, race, and gender. We'd like to see our community have access to as much as possible, and that brings us back to that community center as a vital piece. That's all I have for today. John, did you want to speak anything?
Very well done. Thank you. I'm John Kiefer, and I would just like to say that regarding the community center, what we need is for the community to come forth and give their ideas. Please give your ideas, give your input. I'd hate to think that we do this project in a vacuum, and I would just urge everybody, get a friend, get together and give input when we have these meetings. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kiefer, question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel that,
Madam Mayor.
How do you feel the outreach has been so far as the community? I mean,
I think the outreach has been great.
Okay.
I would like to see more attendance.
okay.
All right.
For a minute there, I thought,
Not at all. Okay. No, I would just like to urge our good residents of Millbrae to be out there.
yes, Ms. Schneider.
This is for any of you because both Mr. Kiefer and Mr. Del Negro are on the city's Bike Pedestrian Committee. We had the bike rodeo, which is a safety feature, almost 2 years ago. Dana, the principal from Dana Lewin from Meadows got that grant, but we couldn't get the money last year. Can I just mention it to you and make sure we keep it on our to-do list that we have at least every other year bike rodeos. For the public, a bike rodeo is an event where helmets are given to children. They'll be given to adults too. Basically, we want people who are using wheeled vehicles to have a helmet on. It provides a safety course. The sheriff's department comes in and helps run a safety course. So generally small children can do an obstacle course and learn how to better control their bikes. The grant covers a bike repair company that comes in and will actually do tune-ups of bicycles that are come in. The Lions, the last time, came in and cooked hot dogs and provided money for the helmets, but the sheriff department also has money for the helmets, or our fire department does, one or the other. But it's been almost 2 years, so if we can keep that on for next year as a safety and a community event. It was an amazing event up at Taylor, April a year ago. Mackenzie, I think before you came on board, but I want to make sure we don't lose track of that.
That was a great program, and we will pay attention to that.
Mr. Keeper, Chair Del Negro, thank you so much to the entire commission for all the wonderful work you're doing and also assisting the city in hopefully achieving a new recreation center, which is a goal I think the majority of the council would like to see. And we look forward to working with you along with these other projects you've listed. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you so much. And we have our new park and rec. What's the official title, Ms. McKenzie?
Sure.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. Mackenzie Brady, and thank you for having me here tonight. I just wanted to reiterate the level of support is fantastic to see from the City Council and from staff and from the rest of the community for all of the outreach for the new recreation center. It's really great to see how much people really do value recreation here in Millbrae. And just a little update, we are in the midst of summer camp right now. This week has seen our largest registration so far this summer. Have about 150% more summer camps, contracted summer camps than we did last year at this same time. So we're seeing a lot of youth involved in our programs, and we are getting more programs in our community center as well right now. So a lot of people are coming through the doors and are excited, and once they get in there, they see how large the facility actually is, and people are pretty surprised. July 20th is our big opening movie for the city of Millbrae. The Lions donated funds for us to purchase an inflatable movie screen, as well as some video consoles for our youth entertainment program. So we'll be showing the movie Zootopia, and we have food trucks that will be coming as well. 2 savory food trucks, and then a dessert food truck. We'll have lawn games out there, some cornhole, giant Connect 4, Jenga, and then the library will be bringing out their giant foam blocks as well. So we'll hope to see all of you there. And then Saturday morning, the 21st, will be the dedication of Rotary Park for the new playground equipment out there. So July is a busy month, and I encourage everybody to get out there and participate in some recreation activities.
What time do the July 20th festivities start?
Thank you. 6 p.m. The movie will start at dark around 8:30 p.m., but we'll hope to have folks out there and participating in activities and just spending some time in Central Park at 6 p.m.
That's awesome. And Ms. Brady, you've been doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much. I know it's difficult, only having a temporary facility, but you've been going above and beyond, and it's very impressive. So thank you so much for all your hard work and effort and all your staff. I know you've got other people for the summer. We look forward to the many, many programs that you've been presenting, and continued success to the commission and the Park and Recreation. Anyone else? So happy Park and Recreation Month. Thank you, everybody. Okay, agenda overview.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Tom Williams, Interim City Manager. Just a quick briefing on current events for the Council. As mentioned, again, a week from Friday, July 20th, is our movie night starting at 6 p.m., so we do hope we have great attendance. It should be a fantastic evening for the community, and really looking forward to it. Also, our Millbrae Recreation Department is hiring youth sports coaches. So any aspiring coaches, experienced coaches that are looking to coach positions for girls volleyball, co-ed flag football, and cross country, we have both paid and volunteer positions available. Please look at our website, or you can log on to this website, bit.ly/Millbrae Recreation. Again, bit.ly/Millbrae Recreation, or you can contact us at 650-259-2365. So it'd be great to see people come out and volunteer for these coaching positions. I'd also like to communicate that during the 4th of July, I'm pleased to announce from our public fire department and the Sheriff's Department, public safety, that we had a very smooth 4th of July. No major events. Fire department had 8 calls for service. There were no fires, no major incidents. The police department had 20 calls for service. Most of those were noise of fireworks going off, but no major events. So pretty good outcome for the 4th of July. Also, we're underway with 2 important...
Before you move on there, the amount of illegal fireworks that were going off at all hours was of deep concern to a lot of residents, and I know Assembly Member Mullen, who was here recently, that came up.
Okay.
These are not really the safe and sane ones you're seeing our neighbors sell. They're the ones that are really going into the sky and all of that. So I think we were, knock on wood, kind of lucky, but I don't know what we do about it in the future, but kind of all over Millbrae for sure. But
I can kind of draw down with also the Sheriff's Department and maybe get some more figures, more than those 20 phone calls, and see if there's more detail there to see what we can do next year to public education and maybe a little bit more outreach.
Yeah, like at 2
are illegal here.
2 in the morning, and all kinds of hours. That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Sure. Also, we are underway with 2 very important projects and requests for proposals. One is the classification and compensation study. So that will be underway in the next several weeks. We're receiving proposals from firms to conduct that study. And secondly, our development impact fee preparation and RFP is out, and that closes in a couple of weeks. So those are 2 key projects that we're starting.
Yes, Ms. Schneider?
Did we, I would imagine it could be changed, but did we include a small percentage, or at least to look into a percentage for the arts, for community arts?
That will be part of the development impact fee study. The City Council will be involved throughout that study as well. We'll have study sessions or on the normally scheduled council meeting check-ins and briefings and updates to keep you informed.
Great, thank you.
And then lastly, tomorrow evening, just as a reminder, there is a special meeting of the City Council at 6 p.m., and that is to conduct interviews for the Planning Commission vacancies. So 6 p.m. tomorrow night. It's here, yes, here in the council chambers. I will.
Recorded and televised.
That
I don't believe they've ever been. No.
This is Planning Commission. They have almost as much power as we have. I think they really need to be televised and taped.
They are open to the public. We just have not done so in the past.
Okay. Moving on to the agenda items this evening. Item number 3 is, well, actually item number 2, the agenda overview. Reports and bills and claims are in your agenda packet. I'd like to refer to the city attorney here quickly to report anything from a closed session meeting on June 26th, 2018.
The council met in closed session on June 26th to discuss labor negotiations with the negotiator and provided instructions to the negotiator.
Thank you very much. Item number 4 then is oral reports from committees and commissions. We had on the agenda this evening the update from the Park and Recreation Commission and the chair, Mr. Chris Del Negro. I believe he gave that report, so I would just like to personally say it's great to work with Chris and all the commissioners and the great job that they do to volunteer for the city. So thank you. After oral communications, the next item on the agenda is public communication. Then moving to the consent calendar, we have item number 5. It's a resolution establishing the appropriation limits for fiscal year 2018-19. That's the GAN limit, which is required by law. Item number 6 is to consider adoption of a resolution to order a call for the general municipal election to be held on November 6, 2018, and to set certain policies applicable to candidates and to request the San Mateo County Clerk to render specific election services. Item number 7 is to adopt a resolution awarding construction contract to DRC and Hardy Construction for the Hillcrest Basin Sewer Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $1,147,475. Also approving a professional services agreement with Bellici and Associates in the amount of $143,936. And lastly, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the subject contracts and the contract change orders and the aggregate project contingency in the amount of $170,000. Item number 8 is a resolution authorizing collection of the fiscal year 2018-2019 stormwater fees on the San Mateo County tax roll. Item 9 is for the City Council to consider a recess of meetings for the month of August 2018. Item 10, a resolution supporting the Millbrae Active Transportation Plan Cycle 4 grant application for the Millbrae Avenue pedestrian overcrossing at US 101. Item 10 is a resolution supporting the Millbrae, I just said that. Item number 11 is then the appointment to the Senior Advisory Committee. There are no public hearings this evening. Item number 12 under existing business is a update and report on the Community Center Rebuild Project. Under new business, there are no new business items this evening. And lastly will be council comments. And then just a reminder that we will be continuing this meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, to July 30th, 2018. So with that, Mayor, there are no other staff comments.
Questions, comments? I'd like to pull for brief items 6, 7, and 9. Brief comments. Okay. Public comments now. Mr. Barilari. This is the time where we open up the public communications for items not on the agenda. You are first, sir. Nice to see you again.
Hi, my name is John Barilari. I'm a man who has the audacity to question the legality of your red light camera program, which I've done 18 times in this location. I got a letter from Jim Lessner. If you know anything about him, he's the one that has the website that's called highwayrobbery.com. He sent me this letter because he says you have opportunity by ignoring further action that there'll be an automatic renewal of the contract with ATS. I was here on November the 24th, 2015, when the representative from ATS, that's American Transportation Systems, or Redflex, was standing right here, and I asked him what about the engineering and traffic survey? That's supposed to be in place. It's a pivotal point when you go to court and ask for the survey. It's supposed to be forthcoming. In discovery, you ask the court to present it, and the officer is supposed to show up with that because you requested it. What they've been showing up with is a radar study, if they show up with anything at all. The radar study is not the engineering and traffic survey. It's not. It's presented as such. And it's my understanding when you present something in court as the truth, and it's not the truth, and you know it, it could be perjury. So, Jim asked me to make you aware of the deadline and asked you to hold a hearing before you automatically renew their contract. He did this on the basis of something that was said that night 3 years ago by the Public Works Director, Mr. Vormastanti. He responded to a council member's question about safety, and the guy said, really, I cannot say for certain if the red light traffic cameras make a difference or not. So Jim's taking a different tack than I'm taking. My tack is they may not be legal at all on several points. The engineering and traffic survey, if you know anything about the survey at all, you know the man who wrote the book, the Bible, on surveys is Mr. Gerber, Dr. Gerber. It's an 1,100-page book, and you show up to court with 1 page, with a radar study. It's not the survey. It's not the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Wynn Gertrude?
Hi. Last time I was here, you were talking about spraying your mediums with weed killer, and I hope you weren't using Roundup. That should be banned from the state because Roundup, Monsanto was bought out by Bayer, a Nazi company, and they know that Roundup also causes lymphoma. So I hope that you didn't use Roundup on those mediums last time I was here, and it really should be something statewide banned. Secondly is the fact Jackie Spears got reelected because nobody cares that she wrote a bill to put poison in your drinking water. But there's a new video out on YouTube. It's called Our Daily Dose of Fluoride, a film by Jeremy Seifert. And it's 20 minutes long. It's worth watching because it shows all the poisons and stuff that are in fluorosililic acid. And this is why they should have town hall meetings and call Jackie Spears on this and show her these videos and then ask why she put poison in your water and arrest her. But most of all, this is the one thing that I'm here for tonight. I want to talk about 5Gs, but I also want to talk about Agenda 21, bankrupting America into utopia, one city at a time. And this is really interesting because the lady who's talking in this video, she finances mortgages, and she's talking about how under these climate action plans and the things that the cities are doing, how they can actually steal your property and take your homes away. And it's really quite interesting because my sister was quite shocked when she saw this. And what we did was we wrote up these things about social and fascism, and we handed them out at the 4th of July parade, over 300 of these in Fremont. And the people were really interested because we also told them to look up the dangers of 5Gs. But this one is amazing. Agenda 21, bankrupting America into utopia, one city at a time. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was in Union City, and Union City was presenting their budget. And what they did was, twice they've done this, because I went there last year and this year when I saw their budget. They put these, they had each person from each department come in and tell the mayor what they could do to cut their spending on each division. They had the police department, the public utilities, everybody said what they could do to cut the budget so they can work within their means. And they're only going to be, they said in 3 years, they may be $3 or $4 million over budget in Union City. Newark balances their budget. Most of the cities do not. They overspend and they tax you to death. That's why your water rates keep going up and up and up. And if you've seen recently in the newspaper, ACWD is the place that puts the fluoride in the water. That's in Fremont. So when they buy the 57 tons of fluorosilicic acid, they put it in Sunol. That water company, out of 500 water companies in California, pay their union workers the highest wages. And they keep raising the water rates every year and every year so that their workers, the average rate is $116,000 apiece. That's their average. So the water rates, that they're lying to you if they're going to say they're replacing the infrastructure in the water pipes, because most of it goes to union workers and wages. Thank you very much.
Mr. Miller?
Okay, I'll make this quick. I'm Bob Miller, and I'm on the Relay for Life Committee, and I just want to make the public aware that we're going to have the Relay for Life again this year, but it's going to be September 22nd and 23rd at Central Park. We're now joined with a couple other cities, Burlingame and San Bruno, and there's a few other cities that are going to join us. So we're now Relay for Life of North Peninsula. The event starts off Saturday morning, September 22nd at 9 o'clock. Pancake breakfast and the ceremonial speakers, and then they start the walk. And there's going to be several events throughout the day. We've pancake breakfast by the Lions Club. Lunch and dinner will be served, and we'll have bands throughout the day and several other activities. So look up Relay for Life on the internet. Relay for Life North Peninsula, and form a team, sign up, and join us at Central Park.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Yeah. Okay. All right. See no more public comments. We have the consent calendar. We're pulled 6, 7, and 9. That leaves items 5, 8. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Approval of minutes. We had to make a. I have a comment on minutes. Yes. Okay. Why don't you go with your comment, and then we had to correct one just a minute ago.
Okay, I recognize that we've had both a change in city clerk and a change in city manager. The minute styles are quite different. They're much more detailed than they used to be. And yet, from my perspective, it seems to be overly laden on a certain numbers of council members. That said, very detailed minutes, but if you look at June 26th on page 4, the paragraph that begins with what I stated, I would like this corrected. I stated that I didn't hold the safety meeting that had been approved by council because I got hit with 2 Freedom of Information Act or Public Record Act, one by a gentleman named Alan Wong, the other by Peninsula Chinese Business Association. And I'd like both of those listed there. And the fact that my father was diagnosed with cancer, and we had to figure out how to deal with his cancer. And that is in the tape. I don't understand why some people get long explanations in their minutes and some of us are listed as simple questions. I just think it's not reflective of the actual full meeting. Thank you.
Seeing those modifications or clarifications, excuse me, to the minutes, any objections? No? Okay, so that's for the one. Then on the other one, Councilmember Oliver pointed out, okay, the note, what page is that on? Yeah. Yeah, if we can remove that note there. Okay. That'd be great.
Remove what?
There was an additional note made, which is not accurate.
Yep.
So.
The red line note, second most used BART system station in the system.
Is not accurate.
Confirm that's not accurate.
Okay. Did everybody else take a look at the red lines? Yep. Anyone else?
Oh, you mean in the written minutes? No, I didn't look at those. I looked at them online.
Okay.
I mean, if it's not accurate, it's not accurate. There's quite a few inaccurate statements in these minutes.
Well, that's why we review them, and if you'd like to make
No, it's
any
a whole
changes, Ms. Schneider, we all have an opportunity to do so. So, we've accepted the changes Ms. Schneider, not changes, clarifications Ms. Schneider made here, and the other clarifications that have been made. We have a motion by Councilmember Lee, a second by Ms. Oliva. Your votes, please, on both minutes.
The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. The minutes are approved with all the changes that were addressed this evening.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar, we have items 5, 8, 10, and 11. Vice Mayor Lee, Mr. Holliber, your votes, please.
Items 5, 8, 10, and 11 on the consent calendar pass with a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Item 6 is about a adoption of a resolution to order and call a general municipal election to be held November 6, 2018, to set certain policies applicable to candidates and to request the San Mateo County Clerk to render specific election services. The reason I pointed this was twofold. We have 2 city council seats that are up for election, and they just wanted to notify the public here of our filing period, which will open July 16th, 2018, and close officially August 10th, 2018. And all the information should be online. Are we correct?
It will be online this week. It is not online yet at the moment.
Okay.
We're waiting for the resolutions to be passed.
Okay. All right. So just wanted to make sure the public was aware of that. And in so doing, do we have, I'll make the motion. Vice Mayor Lee, your votes, please.
Item number 6 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 7 is awarding a contract for construction. I just had a quick question on the construction management and contingency amounts. And I'm not sure we need a full briefing on this, but it would be nice to know in the future when these contracts are complete, what amount of the contingency were actually utilized. And it always seems kind of redundant that we have to have these management fees, but not my area.
Let me explain the construction management. That is our full-time inspector to be out with the contractor doing the inspection. And those are based on the numbers of contract days. We have a contract for example, 40 working days. So we multiply 8 hours a day. The hourly rates of the inspectors from the consulting company to do the work, and that's where we come to the amount of the CM contract, the construction management. And then on the contingency, those are typically based on a 15% project cost. And we do report back to you on those project final accounting when we bring back the project acceptance report to you. We list the total change order amount, how much of that we spend, and those are all listed. And typically they are on the consent item.
Yeah, it's the contingency. I mean, it's the change orders that kind of don't seem to cover that.
The contingency are typically, like you say, Mayor, it is used for change order, and there are a lot of unforeseen subsurface conditions, especially when it comes to pipeline replacement. Sometimes we have to relocate certain utilities, and we run into delay from the last couple of projects. We ran into contaminated subsurface material that needed some extra disposal costs, and those are to account for that.
Well, hopefully we won't have those again. Ms. Schneider?
Just to point out, at our last council meeting, we did approve a final project that came in under budget. So we did it on consent, so we didn't get to say thank you for coming in under budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9 is just the count. Oh, sorry. Let's vote on that one. Yeah. Item 7.
Item number 7 passes unanimously.
Okay. Last one is item 9, council consideration of recess in the month of August. I've only brought this up that we may have some very important issues, and I hope that the council would consider. Nobody's leaving the country for the entire month. We are all dedicated to making sure that a lot of things get accomplished, so I hope that my fellow council members, if we need to have any special meetings, will consider that and we can get the business of the city done. Vice Mayor Lee?
I plan to be around. So actually, this brings up, I'm glad you brought this up because to me, there's a holiday in July, obviously. So a lot of staff actually probably takes time off at that time. And yet we have a council meeting and then we take the whole month of August off. I don't know what the reason why we take off in August. But it seems maybe it might be more efficient just to take July off to allow staff time and be more efficient that way and probably save us a little bit of money too. If we took off in July rather than August, because then staff can take vacation and they wouldn't have to scramble. Staff would have to scramble.
Consider, but we're kind of already there.
No, I mean next year.
Okay. Yeah, but good to know. We do need to get some things accomplished, and we do have an extra meeting this month as well. So I appreciate all staff and the council's time. 2. Yeah. So thank you. Okay. Item 9. Your votes, please.
Item 9 passes unanimously.
Okay, that's the consent calendar. No public hearings. Existing business. Ms. Hildebrandt. Community Center Rebuild Project. Informational update.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to give you an update on the Community Center. We mentioned at our budget hearing and also at our last update, there's a lot of activities that will be going on very quickly. So you would be hearing a lot about the Community Center in those weeks. So normally we provide this update the second meeting of the month, but we have a number of activities going on and focused on the financing of the Community Center. So we wanted to give you an earlier update, again, especially focused on financing and the financing plan. So as you know, on June 12th, you received a refined cost model from Group 4. And we moved forward to initiate a second round of polling to gauge the public's willingness to support a bond measure to finance a portion of the community center. The subcommittee has been focused on alternate options for financing the community center and doing as much as possible to take it out of the taxpayers' hands. So they've developed a framework around using the insurance proceeds, capital funds, a developer contribution, exploring the sale of city property, and then having a gap of about $12 million that we're looking to fund using a revenue measure, such as a general obligation bond, and that is pending the analysis of polling results. Again, we're working on our consistent messaging, a robust information program, and some talking points. So polling is complete. We're waiting for the results of that, developing a report by the polling firm, Lou Edwards Group, and we anticipate that report to the subcommittee in the next week, and we'll hear a recommendation from that subcommittee to your council at your July 24th meeting. Completing staff level and city attorney review on city-owned properties, looking at potential sale of Schultz Park, and getting title information on that, and getting more information again out to the community to help them understand the proposal and the package. So we wanted to bring this item to you, again, really focused on the financing. We've spent a lot of time on design, and we're still continuing that outreach. There's 2 more phases with Group 4. We have a couple more meetings coming up with the community, including the Options Open House on September 18th. That's another joint City Council Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. And on December 4th, which is the recommendations joint meeting of the City Council and Parks and Recreation Commission. Again, there will be surveys, other opportunities. The team will be out in the field. So that by the end of the year, we're looking at a conceptual design and looking to hoping to break ground next year, subject to closing this financing component. Again, just wanted to bring this up to you, take in any questions, and hear your thoughts.
Yes, Ms. Schneider.
So before Interim City Manager Williams, you and I spoke about Schultz Park. Is it still the possibility that the park could be sold, but a mini park could be made? The reason I'm going to bring that up is most of us probably don't know that Schultz, the developer Schultz or the architect Schultz, built St. Francis Woods in the city and also built the Lower Highlands neighborhood. So a lot of the homes in Lower Highlands, which are almost at the historical age part, have a nice tie to San Francisco, and it's a little bit of our history. So when you and I met, I was open to talk about the sale of the 3 residentially abutting properties. But Schultz is part of our history. Even if we have neglected it for decades, it is part of our history. So since then, I've been thinking about that. So what could happen with that property?
Well, if I could.
No, I'd rather hear from the city manager.
Well, I'm going to give you some background, and you can still hear from the city manager. But background for the viewing public here. And this is why we're having the open forum so that the council can express their opinions as a whole group here. The goal with the subcommittees and reaching out to the public is to try to finance this one recreational building and start rebuilding as quickly as possible, taking this opportunity to turn a tragedy into something that can be wonderful for the community. So looking tonight was kind of an expression of financing. So as was mentioned at the last council meeting here, we have some insurance money and we have some developer money. The project, this building itself, is $30 million. About a third of that will be covered by the insurance money and the developer money. The secondary proposal, which has been suggested, is the sale of excess property, or what's the terminology? Surplus property within the city of Millbrae. And that will also, I believe we're going to head to public hearings on that front so that the public knows what's happening there, because this may also have to go to a vote of the public. The historical aspects of Schultz Park, for one, is being explored. It was evidently deeded to not even the city of Millbrae, but the area in the 30s before Millbrae was even incorporated. So all that background information is being pursued at this point in time. There's some county records. There's also some title company research that's being done so that we can identify the exact aspects of each piece of property. This is a funding assembly that we're trying to piece together so that the burden is not fully on the residents of Millbrae. So that would leave another third, which we estimate to be a $12 million bond at this point in time, which was we'll receive polling information on, which would have to be put on the ballot in November. And we may also be looking at the property being put before the voters as well. But we're figuring that out at this point in time. We are always open to additional ideas from the community and the council as we proceed down this avenue. So if Ms. Schneider, once she gets her question answered by the interim city manager, has additional funding ideas that would help us piece this together so we can actually bring this to fruition for the public and break ground, please. So Mr. Williams, if you would then answer Ms. Schneider's question, and we can go from there.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And again, members of the council. So I think Schultz Park provides a tremendous opportunity for us. It was dedicated, as we all know, as parkland years ago. It's never really been used as a park. In looking at it, from an asset management feasibility point of view, the beautiful thing about that asset is it allows us to actually develop a park. And then the area that is still part of Schultz Park that would be surplus allows us to gain value and sell that for 5 or 6, maybe 7 single-family lots. So the idea or the vision, the idea or vision is to actually build a park. And in looking at the area, it could be, really a tremendous neighborhood park and resource. But using our assets, developing a park there, and using, as we're saying, parks for parks, not only will it benefit us in terms of the community center financing, it also is actually an added value that now we have a great neighborhood park for the community. So from my perspective, we kind of get 2 for 1. In managing that asset properly, because right now it's fenced off, there's no access, and it's not being used. So this provides us with an opportunity to not only secure funding for the community center, but give back even more to the community and provide a great asset for a neighborhood park on that site.
So in other communities, when a neighborhood park or a pocket park or a corner park, that community has some say into it. And which neighborhood? The entire Highlands neighborhood, the lower Highlands, the upper Highlands? When would that happen? Obviously, Mills Estates Park has been left I don't want to know what it was. It was developed at one time, but it's really gone to seed for a very long time. What are we looking at here? So you're asking a neighborhood to give up something that is historically part of its nature for the greater good, yay, but when does it circle back around?
Yeah, and great question. And there'll be a process. There are some legal, I don't want to say detriments, but some legal questions that we have relative to the MAP Act, the dedication of the land as a park. As the mayor said, more likely than not, we'll probably have to go to the voters to ask them to vote in favor of selling the asset. So there is a process that we'll have to.
I think we're going to have to be completely transparent with the public here. So I think we're going to have a public hearing. This is not necessarily a specific neighborhood, but the city as a whole. All of the residents should be able to comment on that. And as soon as we can, we should probably identify the properties that we're talking about on the website so that people know. And we can start letting people know what we are contemplating in order to fund the community center.
Yeah, and I think that's a good word right now. We're just at the very infancy of looking at our assets. But as we study it and as we're ready to unveil it, there will be obviously a public process. The whole city should be involved to come together to get their input on one, what should we do with the asset? And two, what would the design of the park look like and what amenities would be there? We could actually understand the historic value. This provides us an opportunity to actually do something within the park as well to acknowledge that historic context of the city.
So just to follow up on that then, if the property had been deeded to the neighborhood, when the report comes back to us, I'd like to see more information. Wasn't that what was said? That the park was actually given to an unincorporated part of Burlingame at the time?
To the county. No. And so it rolls over when the city incorporated it, then becomes city property.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see the background on that. That would be great.
And we will definitely provide that to the city council and the community.
Ms. Oliva?
I think that this conversation is very nice in itself, but we don't even. This is so premature. There's not even a value to put onto any of this, and I would like to allow this. Direction of our staff to complete this report, other than already, fighting it.
No, that's not the purpose of this. Due to the Brown Act, we can't gather as a group here. So we try to have as many of these informational meetings as we can with the entire council. to both share information and gather new ideas that council members might have that have not been yet proposed. The goal is to really bring the community together and try to fund this recreational center as quickly, not as quickly, but as to make it a reality and break ground next year. So that's our goal. So we are looking for new ideas. These are the ideas that have been proposed at this point in time, and it will throughout be a public process because this is for the community and the city as a whole.
Well, I could appreciate that. I get a little unnerved when I hear things like 1/3 of it could be covered by assets, that we don't know what the value of our assets are. So I don't want to have to backtrack and have to say, hey, we need 20 million instead of 12 million. So I think that let the staff come to us with substantial numbers, because this is a financial report, and then we can all have an intellectual conversation.
Right, and we are trying to cover the bases here. We agree completely, because if we do go to the voters, we have to be extremely specific as to what is being proposed. We don't want that number to change. We are working with the $12 million bond number. That number should not change. It works out to be about $8.70 per 100,000, which the average home in Millbrae has been valued about $600,000. Am I correct?
Yes, so we're looking at just under $60 per year for the average.
So just under $60 an assessment per year for the average.
For how long?
It would be ongoing till the debt was paid. 30 years?
Where are these $600,000 homes?
Yeah, well, when you bought it.
So it's based on the assessed value. So, if a home was purchased, 20 or 30 years ago, it's very low.
So that's what I mean. We need to have the right facts to put.
Yeah. Though that's why we're trying to talk about it here.
Yeah, Mayor, perhaps the forthcoming meeting on the 24th, where we'll get into a deeper discussion, I'll make sure that we have the analysis on the 3 asset properties. And we do have a valuation on those, so we'll present that on the 24th.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Maybe to the point of Council Member Schneider, maybe some sort of recognition of Mr. Schultz is in order at some point. And I know the park is really in really bad shape and hasn't been accessible to the public for a very, very long time. So it's really not a park. It's just a dumping ground right now. So something in honor of somebody who's given quite a bit to the city should be more appropriate.
Mr. Holliver?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think as part of this plan, it would require, not require, but to be able to sell this would be to open up a park within that area, and that could be the new Schultz Park that would actually be accessible to the public and available for use, as opposed to just a storage facility. It's been neglected for at least 20 years.
Well, I think more than that if it was deeded in the 30s. Okay, Ms. Schneider?
Topic on the polling. The last time the poll was there was quite a bit of buzz about it on Nextdoor. I haven't seen any buzz, which means nobody said, hey, I got a phone call or this or that. Did we use the same number of households?
Yes,
you guys know this, but we don't get that information.
No, that's why there's going to be a full briefing for the council here. There might have been a smaller or greater number of people actually polled. I don't know anybody who was called, but they will fully report out on all of that when the report is completed. Yes, Mr. Hall?
Well, one thing we were told is that's actually a good thing if people aren't talking about it, because that means that the more people talk about it, you may be skewing the results one way or another, whereas, people are being called and not getting a heads up beforehand, you're more likely to get an accurate result.
Okay. About 300 households were polled. The very first night, they reached about 60. Some are done electronically, and I think within a week they were complete.
Okay. Again, we are looking for ideas to not only the design here, but the funding. of making this recreational center a reality for the community. As was mentioned by Mr. Del Negro, the chair of Park and Recreation, the needs and the wants of the community are very much there. So innovative ideas on funding this. We'll be reaching out to the county for some assistance. They did give us some assistance for the temporary facilities. We're looking for corporate funding. We're looking for any avenues we can get partnerships, public-private partnerships. Again, one of the desirable aspects of this, what the community has presented, is the daycare preschool element, which is in dire need within our community. So we're really going to be reaching out to different sources to help with that. There's different aspects to the senior elements of the building. Maybe the healthcare district can help us there. So anybody with ideas, any council members, any residents within the community watching tonight, please share your ideas with us. Let's make this a reality and a great opportunity for Millbrae. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and the reason we're really trying to get a grasp of this right now is that the costs rise every single year. And if we can do this now, we will save money in the long run and really try to make this a wonderful asset for Millbrae. Okay, any other comments?
I'm excited.
I hope we can all be excited, and I hope we can make this a reality and work together, really bring the community together here. So thank you very much. Okay. No new business. Council comments. Anyone like to start? Ms. Schneider?
Okay. Starting with culture art, sadly, they again did not have quorum and did not meet last night. But I was trying to get Miss Brady's attention. She was at the Culture Arts meeting in June, where they are moving forward with 2 projects with the hope of bringing a report to council, and we were hoping to bring it during Recreation Month. I don't know if that's been on the agenda for our next meeting, but the 2 projects are to bring back the annual Millbrae Art Show. It was a long tradition. The art show is tentatively scheduled for November 8th to turn in artwork, 9th to have the evening show and maybe a welcoming party, and then Saturday art show. It will include art from the elementary schools to the middle schools to the high schools to the adults. And hopefully that will all be in the report. The other project, the utility box project going forward, I know staff has been interviewing other cities. There are many different approaches to utility box art, whether you're using professional artists, whether you've had the paint donated, or in this case, as a way to bring the community together to have an art competition between Mills High School art students, Cappuccino art students, and Taylor art students. Hopefully have the art conceptual designs for the art show in November, and then a judging pool can look at it, and then it comes to council. And the 3 utility boxes we are hoping for are the ones right on Poplar Avenue, right in the parking lot for the library. So the 2 tentative themes, but there's room for council to comment on that in 2 weeks, is it could be a history theme, it could be a library theme, it could be a civic center theme. You know, those are kind of the themes that we're thinking of. And that way, that would be the kickoff for that. On to emergency services. They meet on an odd kind of quarterly schedule. They have approved the county budget. My one concern is that they had a minimum level of fundings they keep in reserve at $500,000, and this year they voted to drop it to a little below $300,000. So they seem to think that we're going to be okay, even if we had a fire, perhaps not as bad as what happened up in the wine country, but they are moving ahead. They also recognized the Green Dawn exercise, which was July 7th, of which Millbrae CERT members were specifically identified for job well done. And it was kind of a really incredible exercise because it included the hospitals. They actually evacuated 2 areas of 2 hospitals. It's sort of one of the first full CERT, first responders, elected officials event going on for that one. So well done, Millbrae CERT, and to the other CERTs. This event was at Unipacera Park, so we had everybody from Foster City on up at Unipacera Park. The next drill is going to be in September, and for local elected officials, one of the outcomes of the Sonoma County fires from the president of the Board of Supervisors is that the elected officials and the first responders didn't have the best communication chain. So I know I brought that up during our meeting, and the exercise in September should hopefully have more opportunity for elected officials wearing their elected official hats to learn how to work in that situation. So the technical term is and I've just gone blank, intercepts. There'll actually be roles for elected officials to play on that and just have a better experience for that. Kevin Mullen, I'm sure someone else will talk about Kevin Mullen. He had a tea here in Millbrae. Thank you to Gary at Leonardo's. And at least the questions that I asked the assemblyman is if there are more internet sales coming to the states, that money gets down to the local governments. And Assemblyman Mullen said he comes from local government. He will do his best to make sure that we might see some of those internet sales. Finally, the safety meeting that got voted down or got stuck last time, I want to give a huge thank you to Elizabeth Carr, who is our head librarian at the Millbrae Library. She contacted me and said, Ann, we can do this together. So the Millbrae Library and I will be conducting a safety meeting on Tuesday, July 31st from 6 to 8 o'clock at the library, no cost to the city, no resources needed from the city. That said, Elizabeth and I are inviting resource people from the county, and Elizabeth has arranged for a facilitator. Our goal is, instead of just being the Millbrae Highlands neighborhood now, is to look at all of the neighborhoods of Millbrae, try to get at least one representative from each community to come and talk about what are some of the safety concerns in their area, and then with the resource people to try to identify some potential fixes. Some might be more long-term, some might be short-term. So I welcome the entire community. Please come join us on Tuesday, July 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Millbrae Library for a community meeting on public safety. Not public safety, police, fire, public safety, more traffic, setting up neighborhood watch programs, things like that. There'll be more information I'll post on Nextdoor. Elizabeth is working on a flyer, but my greatest thanks to the Millbrae Library.
Thank you. Ms. Oliva?
Well, I want to say that probably everybody on this table wants to talk about the Historical Society barbecue, and it was fun to see all of you on the 4th of July. It was a great event and a great group of people. Really, the core of Millbrae was there, just about. Also, I just want to give a shout out to our Sheriff's Athletic League, and we had that house party on Taylor Boulevard. The Armentas hosted, and we had approximately 80 people to come. We had 2 of the, I guess we would call recipients of the program, come and share their success stories. One young gentleman from Millbrae spoke with regards to his experience he had playing golf for the first time ever. He's a Taylor student. And another young lady from Half Moon Bay who shared her experience and is going to, she was kind of a troubled young lady, and through the program met some good mentors and is attending college on a full scholarship. So it was pretty enlightening, and we did collect some good monies too. And thank you for Mayor and Vice Mayor for attending. I appreciated that very much.
So the Police Activities League is sponsoring, they have a golf
Yes.
program. You might want to explain that a little more. Thank you to Councilmember Oliva for assisting in putting that program together.
I'm on that board, so it was part of the job. But I am looking to anybody that is a Green Hills Country Club member. That would be very special in our city to host, because we are one of the few cities in the that have sheriffs with a golf course, and it would be amazing to allow these children to have the experience of going onto a private club. So I'll be knocking on that door.
Thank you. Mr. Holliver?
Okay, I attended the Caltrain and High Speed Rail local policymakers group meeting a couple weeks ago. One of the things that was mentioned was the various grants that they have, and one we actually applied to that was on the agenda tonight. That was the active transportation grant, but there are others in the pipeline, and there may also be some technical assistance provided by the folks at High Speed Rail and the state for those grants. So thank you to our staff for working on that, and hope to be on the lookout for some other funding opportunities in the near future. We also discussed the Caltrain business plan, which they are working on this year. It's going to be a long process, I believe, but one of the things that I think the group wants to do is to have more city input. The group has varied a bit over the last few years, from being a more active group to just getting PowerPoint presentations each week or each month. And I think we'd like to be a little bit more active and provide some more input to the process. So looking forward to that to continue on throughout the rest of this year. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sunday, July 15th, there's a exposition game between Little Leagues from Taiwan and Millbrae. It's going to be, actually, I don't know where exactly yet.
It's Green Hills.
Green Hills. Okay, Green Hills Lower Field, 12:30, and the mayor will be doing the first pitch. It's pretty exciting. Again, I want to thank Marshall Realty and Councilmember Oliva for helping to sponsor the Sal Golf program. They are still accepting golf clubs at the Sheriff's Department or Police Department. Just drop them off. If you have extra pair of set of golf clubs that is taking up space in your garage, there's a home, there's kids who could use them. And thank you to the Sheriff, Central Fire, and Hillsborough Mayor Marie Truong and Gentleman Mike Truong for teaching a CERT class all in Mandarin. So that was very exciting. Millbrae having a large Mandarin population, that's huge. At Peace.
I'm sorry, Councilman. It wasn't a CERT class. It was a get ready class, right?
I was told it was a CERT class, but okay, you might be right.
Yeah, it's a get ready preparedness class.
Okay.
CERT class is 8 classes long.
Right. Okay, thank you for the clarification. And Peninsula Clean Energy, they are starting a program to try to get more EVs out there. So I guess they're going to have a program to subsidize people at low income with possibility of helping them get their first EV cars. There's still a lot to be worked out. The retreat will be on September 29th from 8 to 12. And they have right now $56 million in a rainy day fund, considering they spent over $500 million in contract procurement. That's not bad. And the president of, or the CEO of PCE, Jan Pepper, she will be visiting with Councilmember Schneider and City Manager Tom Williams this month. Let's see. And congratulations to Lion President Bar Specia and the Lions Board. They had a new installation last month. And thank you to the fire department for the quick response at the little grass fire at the Green Hills Park. They put it out quickly, and no mess, no fuss. And I saw next door that there was comments about people leaving the trash cans out. I just want to say, if you're leaving your trash cans out overnight and more than a day, that's just pretty much a signal to people who have mischief and have bad intent that you're not home. So if please arrange to have somebody take your garbage can in, and also take your garbage can out even if you're on vacation, because that tells people that you're home. So that's a safety note. Thank you.
Thank you. And many people watching the news, please, it is fire season. Let's be very careful. Clear debris away from your home. If there are areas that need to be clear, I know the city is focused on doing that just as well. So thank you very much. Assemblyman Mullen came to Millbrae for a coffee. It looked like a really good turnout here within the city. His outreach is very good, and I'm sure he heard a lot about what's going on in our area, and I know people from other cities came in too, so we thank him very much for that. I will be sending out a letter to PG&E regarding the tree removal on Richmond Drive, which is not acceptable. And thank you to legal counsel for providing resources to support our letter and hopefully demand that the trees, mature trees, be replaced and the median returned to a vital aspect of our city here. Planning Commission interviews will be taking place tomorrow. Congratulations to the Millbrae Library. They had a great event with a Beatles cover band. Very, very popular. We have, let's see here, the baseball game's been covered, Planning Commission, and Man and Woman of the Year, are they still taking applications? You have till August something if you'd like to submit for Man and Woman of the Year. We encourage you to do so. And Regional Measure 3 passed. So that's an increase of the bridge tolls and a few other things for projects. What we're going to be hearing on this side of the peninsula is the Managed Lanes project. In a nutshell, they're looking to try to reduce traffic on 101 by adding a managed lane, which is not converting the existing lanes, but adding a lane that, if utilized, will be improving the bus system, so you'll have more express buses, and if you want to use that lane, you will pay to use that lane. So if you've been to LA, you will see this system setting up. They're looking at the next couple of years, actually, to start this project and get it going. They've gotten some state funding because of the traffic in our area. So please note that if you are on 101, north or south these days, you will not be losing a lane. An additional lane will be added that people can pay for. And they're hoping to really reduce traffic by getting more express buses and lanes on there. And it'll be further explained as this progresses, but that's what they're looking at to handle traffic. They're also looking at more park and ride lots, and this is an ongoing process. We also will be looking at hopefully getting some numbers on the number of electric cars on our roadways. The environmental impact and reduced greenhouse gases is key to the region and also to moving people to and from. That's it. We are not closing this meeting. We are continuing this meeting to, what's the next date? July 30th. To ongoing business.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Good night. I don't know how you do this, but good night, everyone. Drive safely and ongoing meeting.
All right.
It's ongoing.